Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a comparison between the Nutribullet Pro 900 Personal Blender and the Ninja Foodi Power Blender with the personal cup attachment. Is it worth spending a few more bucks for the Ninja? Well, that's what we're here to find out. So you ready? Let's get into this. Just a quick note, our reviews and comparisons are based upon the features that we think are the most important. That might be a little bit different for you, so what we recommend doing is after watching our video, you'll pull up a few different videos from other creators just so you can get a wider range of opinions. That way you can make a much more informed buying decision, and that is the most important thing of all. Here you can see everything that comes with these. The Nutribullet comes with the base, 2 different size cups, a travel lid, and 2 cup rings. The Ninja Foodi Power Blender comes with the base, the single serving cup, a travel lid, which is actually better than the travel lid that comes with the Nutribullet because it snaps down a lot more secure. The second cup has a built-in tamper that's supposed to be used for making nut butters and stuff like that. For the comparison video, we're not going to use this one. We're just going to use the regular one that we have on the blender right now because we want to try to make it as even a comparison as possible. Also, you get an additional lid and you get an additional dough blade to complement the 3-tier blade that comes with the large pitcher. The Ninja single serve cup has measurements etched here onto the side. The Nutribullet Pro just has a max fill line, and that's about it. If you look at the blade designs, they're a lot different. The Nutribullet uses more blunt blades. The Ninja blades are all sharp and they're all over the place, so cleaning this can be a little bit of a pain in the neck. You just gotta be really careful when you do it because you run a much higher risk of cutting yourself. If you look at the way the blade assemblies are designed, the Nutribullet one sits a lot more flush and the Ninja one sticks out a whole lot. So you're actually losing a tiny bit of capacity here, and you gotta be a little bit more careful about how full you fill these because you can see right there, if you're going much past 500 milliliters, it's gonna start hitting those blades and it's gonna be hard to twist the top on. Conversely, the blade assembly on this is much taller. If you're using this tall cup, it's probably going to hit the bottom of your cabinet as you're trying to take it out of the Nutribullet machine. But that's not really a big deal because you could just slide it off from underneath the cabinets and then you're good to go. The Nutribullet only has 2 functions. It's basically just a pulse by pushing down or full speed by pushing down and twisting. That's all the control you get, and you don't get any screens or anything else. So if you want to blend for a minute, you're going to have to go ahead and do that timing in your head or set a timer or do something like that. Not only is the Ninja Foodi Power Blender's blade tree shorter, but so is the blender base as well. So this has a lot better chance of fitting underneath your countertops without having any problems. In addition to that, this is a fully functional blender, not just a single serve cup blender. So because of that, you have access to all your different programs. You either got IQ programs or manual. With the single serve cup on this, you can set it to smoothies, extracts, bowls, and spreads. And when you start this up, it will start and stop your blender and vary the speed depending on what it thinks it needs to do. And it'll do that without you having to touch anything. The manual setting would just allow you to pick what blender speed you want and how long you want it to go, and it would just give you full control over all of that. However, with the single serve cup on here, you can't control the speed. It's pretty much on and off or pulse. And each time you push it, it'll go until you let go. Like that. At first glance, you would think that the Nutribullet is a smaller blender than the Ninja Foodi Power Blender is, because the Ninja Foodi Power Blender's got this fat base. But while the blender may be wider than the Nutribullet, it's actually a lot shorter too. How important that is just going to be dependent on what's important to you. To test these blenders against one another, we did 5 tests. For our first test, we made almond butter. All we did for this was take 2 cups of roasted almonds and we mixed in 1 ounce of avocado oil. After that, we shook up the contents just to try to get the oil to evenly coat all the nuts. Then we went ahead and blended them both, pulsing a little bit at first, just to try to get some of those nuts broken up first. During the blends, we did have to take the cups off of both machines and kind of smack them around a little bit, just to get all the stuck nuts off the sides of the cups. That's not really so much the fault of the blender per se, but more for the fact that we didn't use a ton of nuts in there. So there really wasn't a whole lot in there to get pushed down into the blades. It would have been an easier test to do full containers, but we want to do the test to mimic more what a normal person might do. The results of the almond butter test were very, very close. Both came out really smooth, but if you look really closely, I think the Nutribullet was just a tiny bit smoother. However, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is sort of dependent on you and how you like your almond butter. Some people like it smoother and some people like it more chunky. For our second test, we made some peanut butter. We went with 2 cups of dry roasted peanuts, and once again 1 ounce of avocado oil. After that, we blended them up the exact same way we did with the almond butter, except this time it was a little bit tougher. On both machines, we had to take those cups off several times and shake them really good and bang on the sides of the cups to get all the peanuts back down to the bottom, because they would go up the sides of the cup and just sort of stick there, and then they would be unblendable. Eventually they broke down enough so we didn't have to do that as much, but the entire time the peanut butter really was sort of a pain in the neck. Again, if we decided to use more peanuts, it would have filled those containers up a lot more, and we would have probably got a much better result.
3 days later.
In any case, we got through it, and you can see that the peanut butter is really on the chunky side. Like the almond butter, I prefer chunky over smooth, so for me it was fantastic on both machines. This time it seems like the Ninja made slightly smoother peanut butter, but it's really close and it's really hard to tell the difference between the two. But to be totally honest, if you took those 2 containers and mixed them up, I'd have a pretty hard time telling you which one came from which machine. For our third test, we made ground coffee. Again, we decided to stick with the 2-cup measurement, filled each cup with the beans, and just went ahead and let them both blend at high speed for about a minute. Both machines did outstanding. There was no binding, there was no having to take the cups off and shake them or anything. It just got through the job and did it really well. Both coffees, as you can see here, were blended really fine. In fact, I'd say that the results on these are exactly the same. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. For our next test, we made rice flour. Rice flour is typically something that's pretty hard to make, especially if you're doing it the way we're doing it today. Normally with this, you would want to soak the rice for a couple of hours, and then you want to let it sit out on microfiber towels to dry out. That would soften it up, and then after that you go ahead and blend it like you normally would, and then you got rice flour. So we took 2 cups of rice, put them into both machines, and just went ahead and let them blend away. The Nutribullet produced very fine rice flour. The Nutribullet did fantastic. I had no idea that it would do this well. It created really finely ground rice flour, very light and very powdery. So for me, it's probably about as close to perfect as it can get. The Ninja Foodi Power Blender handled the job really well too, but there was a distinct difference between the rice flour that came out of it versus the rice flour that came out of the Nutribullet. As far as the Ninja blender goes, it was a lot more grainy. It wasn't terrible, but if you run it between your fingers, definitely it feels a little bit more like sand and less like powder. So for that test, I'd have to give it to the Nutribullet. For our last test, we did smoothies. Again, we stuck with that 2-cup number and used 2 cups of frozen mixed fruit. Then I threw on a half a scoop of vanilla whey protein, and then we put just enough water into each cup to partially submerge the very top layer of frozen fruit. After that, we closed up both cups, put them back on the machine, and let them blend for a minute. The Nutribullet, obviously we had to do a manual minute, and on the Ninja Foodi Power Blender, there's an actual setting for that, so we went ahead and just did that. The results between the 2 machines were night and day. The Nutribullet smoothie was really runny. It almost had the consistency of the water, maybe a tiny bit thicker. The Ninja Foodi Power Blender produced a nice thick smoothie. Exactly why they were so different, I'm not sure, but what I can tell you is that the Ninja Blender did a way better job on the smoothie than the Nutribullet did. Pretty interesting comparison between these 2 blenders. On one side you got portability and simplicity, and on the other side you got more utility and power. But also keep in mind that you can overcome any of the challenges that we had in this video by changing up recipes and doing other little small things. Experimenting is part of the fun. If you'd like more information about the Nutribullet Pro 900 or the Ninja Foodi Power Blender, we do have Amazon affiliate links to those down in the description of the video. We do make a small commission if you buy stuff through those links, but it doesn't change the price that you pay 1 cent. If you like this video, you might like our big ice cream maker comparison right here. It's a good video to see if you want to find out what kind of results you get from different types of ice cream machines. So until next time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.